हेलो पूजा। हम तोरे रफ़ी बोल रहे हैं। हाँ, हमको तुमको एक गाना सुनाना है। सुन रही हो ना? अच्छा सुनो। बार बार दिन ये आए, बार बार दिल ये गाए, तुम जियो हजारों साल, ये मेरी है आरज़ू। हैप्पी बर्थडे टू यू, हैप्पी बर्थडे टू यू, happy birthday to Ayushmann. Happy birthday to you. Hey, happy birthday, Ayushmann. Happy 35th birthday. May you have a very long life and a very long career. Ayushmann Bhava. Hello, welcome to Sunny Starlight, and my name is Sunny, and today I'm going to be reviewing the movie Dream Girl, starring Ayushmann Khurrana, Nushrat, Bharucha, and Annu Kapoor, and a host of other supporting actors. So, first of all, as you know, it's Ayushmann Khurrana's 35th birthday today, so happy birthday, best wishes to you, and the best present you could have had this year is this film. Straight away off the bat, I'm going to tell you that. The film is directed by Raaj Shaandilyaa. Um, Apologies to Raj because basically I did the review of the trailer. If you check it out, you can see it. And unfortunately, I didn't realize, but I'd cut out information about you in the editing process and not realize that I dumped it. But anyway, I apologize. Maaf kar do, maaf kar do. But Raj, I know all about you because I followed your career. You've made me laugh so much. He used to be one of the main writers of Comedy Circus, which was my favorite Indian TV comedy show, and he's written over 400 or hundreds more little sketches for that show and other shows as well. So I apologize, Raj, because Raj was very kind enough to tweet the review I did of the trailer. So thank you, Raj, and I appreciate that very much. So let's get into the film straight away. There are no spoilers, but let me just say that the film was an absolute joy to watch. It was a laugh a minute riot. I laughed so much my stomach hurt. So the story is basically that of a unemployed young man, Ayushmann Khurrana, who plays a sort of out of work sort of graduate, but he's had this talent since he was young, where he could actually mimic the voices of a woman. So in his spare time, he did some amateur dramatics, or if you like, little sort of vaudeville plays where they stage religious plays, and he always managed to get the role of the female lead, whether it be Sita or Radha. So he always managed to get the roles of the females because of his ability to do the female voices, and this happened ever since he was a child. He suddenly finds himself looking for a job and ends up working for a call center. Now, if you remember in my review of the trailer, I was kind of sort of not quite sure, but then I did guess that he was working on what we call in the West sex chat lines, or what they call in India friendship lines, where mostly men would call up and they would talk about all their sort of daily problems or have sort of intimate chats about things. So yeah, I was right about that. Called that one. And you know, you can just imagine the possibilities of the laughter just on that premise alone. So he lives with his dad, just the two of them. His dad's been widowed since he was a young boy, and his dad's raised him, and he's in a lot of debt. So he decides to take this job, which pays quite well. And then what follows after that is just one sort of misunderstanding after another, and comical moments. So it's just a laugh a riot, laugh a minute film, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Now, just to sort of go onto the film itself, when I was watching it in the cinema was half full, and there were people of all ranges, and there were some kids in there who were about 10 years old. And let me tell you, the kids started laughing straight away as soon as the film started, so loudly, because they had subtitles as well, so they could understand. And the whole cinema, the whole theater was just laughing so much that I felt sometimes that the jokes were coming so quickly, one after another, that I didn't have time to sort of finish off laughing at the last joke. And also because the audience was still laughing, we were missing some of the other jokes that were coming afterwards. But luckily, because we had subtitles, you could sort of kind of read along and see what was the joke that you're about to miss or you are missing at this moment in time. So that's the only kind of criticism that I would probably sort of put to Raj and say, maybe just give a little breathing space between jokes, because in television, I suppose you can sort of have lots and lots of jokes one after another, because people sort of watch it in their homes, and they have a little bit more quiet, or they've recorded it so they can pause and rewind. But you can't do that in the cinema, so you've got to let the joke breathe, like 10 seconds, 15 seconds in between, and let the people finish laughing in the cinema, because there are a lot more people in the cinema than there are sitting in your home, hopefully. So yeah, that was my only criticism. Well, there was another one, which was the subtitles. They weren't very good to look at, because they were in white, and of course we had a lot of white backgrounds, so sometimes you couldn't make out the subtitles. But I've been advocating subtitles to be in yellow, which is what my subtitlist friend Rex, who does a lot of subtitling for South Indian films like 2.0, has been doing in the south of India. So I would recommend that more and more people do that. The only other thing about subtitles was that some of the jokes kind of didn't quite translate well in the subtitle, because the person who was doing it missed out a lot of innuendos. Now, innuendos are actually sort of like double meaning sort of jokes that you sort of get, but then the punchline is something that's not a double meaning, if you see what I mean. So here's a clip to sort of uh, give you an example of that.
हेलो मैं पूजा बोल रही हूँ क्या हुआ आवाज अच्छी नहीं लगी लगी ना तो करना बातें और भी अच्छी लगी मेरे इमरान हाशमी.
So when he's answering the phone, basically he's saying that don't you like my voice? And the guy says, yes, I do. And he says, well, do it then. And that's what it should have translated to, which is like, do it then. So of course, you're thinking along the lines of something dirty. And then he said, what? And he says, talk. So it brings it back again. But there was an innuendo, but you missed that innuendo because of the poor translation that you got. So that was one of the things that I found that, I laughed at it, but a lot of people who don't understand Hindi will obviously sort of not get the innuendo. And there were quite a few instances like that. The other thing that I found was that in terms of some of the cultural references, or some of the, cultural references, let's just call it, where some of the jokes might go over people's heads because they weren't quite sort of well translated again, or just because it's a cultural reference. I mean, one of the examples that I'll give is that Ayushmann is saying something to the effect of, this girl is not a Taj Mahal, he's more of a Qutub Minar, and lifts his tie up. Now, if you, it's a very sort of sexual reference about a phallic symbol, because the Taj Mahal is a wide open sort of building, whereas the Qutub Minar is like a big tower, like the Leaning Tower of Pisa, basically. So he's trying to sort of say in the girl's voice that he's more of a Qutub Minar, even though he's a girl. So that kind of sort of cultural reference might go over people's heads. But all in all, I mean, you will get a lot of the jokes because they were very funny. Some of them were visual, but a lot of them were very clever dialogues. So the dialogue was really good. It was on point. It was written by Raaj Shaandilyaa, and it was directed by him. The direction was absolutely brilliant because the way he sort of shot some of those things, and also the technical aspects. I mean, the cinematography was really outstanding for a small budget film like this. The film was actually produced by Ekta Kapoor and her company Balaji Telefilms. So more kudos to her, because keep producing content like this. Um, Going on to the characters, everybody played their part absolutely brilliantly. And let me just start by saying, um, Ayushmann Khurrana, obviously the star of the show, birthday boy. The way he has actually projected that female voice was just brilliant, because I don't think any other actor could have done it. If they had a comic actor, say one of the comics from Comedy Circus, like Kapil Sharma, or any of the guys who sort of wear female clothes and drag, like Sunil Grover and Krishna Abhishek, they would have made it very, very much sort of like a caricature, and they would have sort of gone a different way, whereas Ayushmann played it very straight, very narrow, and just realistically, and all credit to him, it delivered, because that's what it needed. It didn't need somebody to be completely a caricature, or just a person who's just mocking and bringing other aspects of with the voice, because it had to be somebody who was quite comfortable in having this talent and also expressing it as well. So he did a perfectly brilliant job of giving that. But then, of course, with Ayushmann, the other quality that I love about this actor, he's one of my favorite actors at the moment, and his star is just rising. But one of the other things that I love about him is his kind of innocence, but then it's also the kind of ability to deliver a very sort of straight, sort of deadpan line, and then sort of give a very sort of comical look. Which reminds me very much of a Hollywood star like Doris Day, who used to sort of deliver the same kind of comical line. She'll be like very straight in her dialogue, and then suddenly there'll be a twist, and she'll sort of have that face, or it just changes in that one sentence, and that's what he has the ability of actually changing the whole perspective in just that one sentence that follows something else. So I love Ayushmann for doing that. He has seen a meteoric rise from the end of 2018, where he's had a tremendous run of films. So starting with Andhadhun and Badai Ho, which were the biggest grossers of 2018, coming within sort of like 6 weeks of each other, and did enormous business. And then, of course, he's followed it up with Article 15 this year, which was a completely different role for him, but did extremely well and was critically acclaimed. So he is a chameleon. He is absolutely brilliant in what he's done. The script he had, again, gave him a lot of scope to sort of go in different directions, but he kept it very sort of central, very grounded, and he just sort of performed it as if it was a straight sort of role that he was getting, and not sort of putting himself in that character when he was in those costumes. So this is the only film where you would see a main lead actor in the finale dressed as a woman and delivering an epic speech. No other actor would have done it, because the finale is meant to be sort of like, the hero is sort of like all grand and victorious, and he's sort of come through all of this adversity, and of course he's the man. But no, Ayushmann had the guts to sort of do this ending, which was just brilliant. So we have this wonderful, compelling story of this character who can do female voices, goes through a lot of ups and downs and mistaken identities and all sorts of funny, hilarious situations, and there is a social message at the end of it, which I wasn't expecting, but I just thought, yes, at last there is something there, because you needed something to tie it all up and say, well, there is a reason for this. And it was a very, very good social message, and it was very short. So some people might go over their heads, but if you sort of look at it it is a real issue in society at the moment. And it might not be that much in India, you'd think, but that issue is now beginning to creep up even more and more and more. So I won't tell you what the message is at the end, but go and see it for yourself and you'll discover exactly what that message is. And I was so glad that there was a message at the end, because I was thinking, well, if it's just a comedy, which is fine, I'm not going to expect a sort of groundbreaking, arty-farty, historic, epic or whatever. I know what this film is. It was a thorough entertainer. It was a good belly laugh, and it was sort of littered with fantastic acting, perfect comedy timing from everybody, and it was just an all-round film that can be enjoyed by anyone, and the whole family, if you like. Of course, it did say that minors or children had to be accompanied by adults. So of course, there were a lot of adult jokes in there, but the kids in my cinema, they got the jokes more than the parents. So these days kids know quite a lot more than we give them credit for. Uh, Going on to sort of like this, the other actors. I mean, Annu Kapoor, who plays Ayushmann's father, uh, absolutely brilliant. The first half, he was sort of very, quiet, sedate, and what have you. But as soon as the second half started, the most I've laughed in any film, bar none, was the second half, where it starts off, and it was because of Annu Kapoor. And I won't tell you what the scene is, but it follows straight after Ayushmann notices his father sleeping with a blanket over him at night, and he's just looking at him, and then suddenly it cuts to the morning, and that's when I was taking a drink, and I just choked, and I just sprayed the drink out of my mouth, and it fell onto the guy in front of me, and I went, "Oh God, sorry!" And everybody just laughed, not at me, but the scene, and we were just laughing for a good 5 minutes. I mean, the scene went on for about 5 minutes anyway, but we were still laughing at the shock of the initial shock, of that scene, where we just kept laughing and laughing and laughing. Even now, it makes me smile. And then, of course, that character, it just continues that along those lines. And every time I think of it now, I mean, the second half was just so brilliantly funny in that respect. But we have all these characters who ring his phone line, and so we have this ensemble of characters who fall in love with his voice, and of course they start to fall in love, and they want to meet him or her, and they want to marry her. So everybody's running around. He's tearing his hair out because he's actually fallen in love with the character of Nushrat Bharucha. And he's trying to sort of get out of this business that he's got himself into, and so it's a comedy of errors. It's really great. Unfortunately, Nushrat Bharucha didn't have much to do in this film, but I think it could have been improved slightly, where she could have had a bit of bigger part, where I think where you could have had her sort of almost discovering his secret every now and then, where she's almost stumbling upon it, but she has no clue. So we could have had a couple of incidences like that where she nearly finds out. But she appeared in a few scenes. Wherever she did brilliantly well. Of course, another veteran actor is Vijay Raj, who plays a policeman who likes to recite poetry, and his wife does not understand him. And of course, his wife, the actress who plays her, is absolutely brilliant. I mean, all the supporting actors were brilliant. The other character that made me laugh out loud so much was Nusrat Bharucha's grandmother. I mean, she was so funny. She was like 100 years old, and one of the lines that Ayushmann says when he first meets her is like, "Oh, she's only a few years younger than God." I mean, she was just hilarious. Old people can say anything and get away with anything, and when you see her in that opening scene when you first get introduced, it's a very solemn occasion. But I mean, the laughs keep coming. So if you live your sensibilities back home and you just sort of like enjoy this hilarious ride, I would thoroughly say Go and watch this in the cinema, because I'm going to go and watch it again, because A, I missed so many of the jokes and I want to see them again. B, because I thoroughly enjoyed it, so I'm going to go and see it again. And C, I'm going to take my mum, who I did say to her, "Do you want to come today?" And she said no. And I want to take her to see this film because, she would absolutely love it. Because, I've only laughed like this in my life at about three or four films in my life. I can tell you the number of times I've laughed out so much throughout the whole film. Uh, my favorite film of all time is Some Like It Hot, with Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon, and they had a Hindi remake of that called Rafu Chakka, which I saw again just a couple of days ago on ZTV. So it reminded me of my experience of seeing that as a child, and I remember I was laughing so much I was hitting the back of the seat and I broke the chair. And my parents hadn't come to see the film. It was only me and my sister, and there were some friends of the family who were in the cinema, and they told my parents afterwards that your son was laughing so much he broke the chair. So my mum still recites that story to everybody till this day. Some Like It Hot, another favorite film of mine, and another one which really sort of makes me laugh out loud is It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, which always sort of brings a smile, and even now it makes me laugh out really loud. But this is there are a couple of other Indian films, that make me laugh, but not as much as this throughout the whole film. I mean, there are films which have funny bits and then they have some other bits, but yeah, this was laugh a minute, literally every minute you were laughing. I just wish I had some time to breathe in between to digest that one joke and then go on to the next one. But it's Raj Chandelia's first attempt at directional. He's done a fantastic job, and I think you can only learn from that. As I said, I hope you sort of appreciate my constructive criticism, whereby I know you worked a lot in television, but for film, I think you just need the joke to breathe a little bit, because we're not going to be able to rewind it in the cinema because everybody's laughing. So if you've got 50 people laughing with you, or 100 people laughing with you, or even in the other bigger screen that was showing it 300 people, you're going to miss a lot of the jokes. So yeah, let the joke breathe. That's all I'm saying. And of course, if you have an influence over subtitling, please get somebody decent to subtitle it, because there were a few jokes that were missed out or went over people's heads who do not understand Hindi as much. So yeah, that's the other thing I would recommend. But apart from that, the film was just amazing. I would sort of say go and see this at the cinema, and I would give it a good 4 stars out of 5. I don't usually give out stars anymore, but in this instance, I'm going to say I'm going to give it 4 stars out of 5. It's a thumbs up from me. It's a great birthday present for Ayushmann, and just go and see it. You will absolutely love it. Just do not drink like me, because you never know when the next laugh is going to come, and you might just go, yep. So, with all that said, I thoroughly enjoyed this film. Go and see it. I'm going to go and see it again tomorrow, hopefully, fingers crossed, and take my mum, drag my mum with me, and she will love it. I'm telling you, she will absolutely love it. So, yep. Thank you very much for watching, and happy birthday once again to Ayushmann, and also congratulations to Raj and the whole team. And I hope the film does absolutely brilliantly and fantastic at the box office. And I believe it's predicted to be Ayushmann Khurrana's biggest opening film that it's ever got. So they're predicting sort of good things for this film, and I can vouch that yes, it was well worth watching this film at the cinemas. Go and see it again. Okay, thank you very much. Please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe, and let me know your thoughts on the films if you've seen it. Tell me after you've seen it, and tell me what you thought. Tell me any jokes that we might have missed. Just to remind people who've seen it, some of the jokes. But yeah, any comments that you've got, please put them down. Thank you very much. See you later, Pooja.